For nearly 20 years, the United States spent money in Afghanistan. Day after day, year after year. Not millions, not billions. An amount so large, most Americans have never actually seen the full number. So how much did the Afghanistan War really cost the United States? Let's break it down. For nearly 20 years, the United States fought a war in Afghanistan. It became the longest war in American history. But here's the real question. How much did it actually cost? Not just in money spent overseas, but in long-term debt, veteran care, and economic consequences that are still unfolding today. Most Americans know it was expensive. Very few realize how massive the price tag really was.
The war in Afghanistan began in 2001 after the September 11th attacks. Its initial goal was clear: dismantle terrorist networks and remove the Taliban from power. At first, the operation was relatively limited in scale, but as the years passed, the mission expanded, and so did the costs. What started as a short-term military operation turned into a 2-decade commitment. The most visible cost of the war was direct military spending. This includes troop deployment, weapons and ammunition, aircraft and drones, fuel, transportation and logistics, bases and infrastructure. Over time, the U.S. was spending tens of billions of dollars every single year just to keep operations running. But this was only the beginning. When all official numbers are combined, the estimated cost of the Afghanistan war reaches over $2 trillion. Yes, trillion with a T. And that number includes more than battlefield expenses. It includes reconstruction efforts, aid programs, and support for Afghan security forces, many of which ultimately collapsed. One of the biggest hidden costs comes after the war. Veteran health care, disability payments, mental health treatment, and long-term support will continue for decades. Many economists believe these obligations alone will cost hundreds of billions more in the future. This is money the U.S. will keep paying long after the last soldier left Afghanistan. Another critical factor: the war was largely financed through borrowed money. That means interest. Over time, interest payments on war-related debt add hundreds of billions of dollars to the total cost. In other words, the price tag keeps growing, even after the war ends. $2 trillion could have funded infrastructure across the United States, education for generations, healthcare improvements, tax relief for millions of Americans. Instead, it vanished into a conflict with no clear victory and no clear end. This comparison is what makes the cost truly shocking. After nearly 20 years of war, the final numbers are hard to ignore. The Afghanistan War cost the United States over $2 trillion. There was no financial profit, no economic return, only long-term debt, veteran care obligations, and interest payments that will last for decades. What remains are lives changed forever, families affected, and a bill that future generations will continue to pay. War is often measured in victories and defeats, but its true cost is always paid in money, time, and human lives. This wasn't just the longest war in American history. It was one of the most expensive reminders that there is no such thing as a cheap war. This is battles and bills, and this was the real cost of the Afghanistan War.